a donation, I believe, that she needs
So
to
last
send.
night at the dance, someone handed me this. Oh, it was you. They put it on. So, and you made it as well as donated it, is that correct? It was very important to me to get it correct on the bid sheet, so thank you, and my brain was mush. Yes.
All right, let's start.
Thanks.
The meeting will be recorded. We do have the Zoom link. And if you are on Zoom, there they will ask a question that you know that it is recorded. So, Cynthia, will you start the recording? I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome you all. Whether you're on Zoom or in person, we're thrilled to see you. We were thrilled to dance with you last night, and we're glad to be here. So, I'm Ellen Sears from the New York branch, and I am chairman. This is the 64th AGM, and we will move slowly so that the Zoom attendees can keep up with us. Cynthia West is monitoring the chat for the Zoom people, and she will be monitoring the voting for that too. If you have any questions, if you speak, please say your name and your branch so that Gordon Robinson, our recording secretary, can keep up with who's who. The associate members are encouraged to participate in questions and comments. They are not eligible to vote. So we will, back to the agenda, my notes say. We have two agendas. One is the consent agenda that's made up of things that are usually not controversial. They don't have a lot of questions. And we did ask if there were questions that they be submitted by July 16th. I didn't get any questions, but if anybody has any, please let us know. So we will have one vote or one motion to approve that agenda. The consent agenda consists of minutes from the annual general meeting from July 31st, 2021 that were taken by Jeff Davis, the recording secretary from the New Mexico branch. Also, motions that were passed by the board in the last year that were taken by Gordon Robinson from the Vancouver branch. The reports from summer school and TCW by Kathy Simonson from St. John's, Newfoundland branch, and Laura Friedman Shedlow from the Twin Cities branch. The examinations report by Gail Foster from Vancouver branch. Correspondence report by Marion Hamilton from the Ottawa branch. The membership report, Catherine Shearman from Vancouver branch. The area reps and outreach report by Ken Saunders from the New Jersey branch. There will be a further report by Ken on the July 17th area reps meeting in the regular agenda. The TAC books report by Frida Osborne from Calgary branch. Tech Sound, Melissa Whitson and Ken Hyman from the Portland branch. TAC Talk report by Allison Bruce from the Toronto branch. None of them had said they had anything to add, so I think we can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Fiona Miller from Medicine Hat. Do we have a second? Cheryl? Thank you. All approve? Please raise your hand. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Let's skip over something. The important one. The adoption of the agenda for the whole meeting. We are adding one thing to it. Don't laugh at me, Jeff. Adding one thing to that, there will be an anniversary subcommittee report added to that. May I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Alice is Toronto.
second? All approve? Any opposed? Carried. So matters arising from the minutes. There's a CTI committee report and will be given by Fiona Miller. Page 35. Okay, Fiona has nothing to add to the report that was in the annual report. So can we have a motion to approve the CTI committee report? Do we have a second? All approve? All opposed? Carried. Thank you. So we will move on to the regular agenda. The first on the regular agenda is the chairman's report. I have nothing to add. So can we have a motion to approve the chairman's report? And the second? All approved? Any opposed? And carried. Thank you. We will move on to the treasurer's report. Margaret Dudley from the Toronto branch.
Can you hear me? If you can't hear me, let me know, or if it's worse, if it's too loud, let me know.
That's fine, you need to be able to hear this.
Okay, I'd rather not hear my voice. Okay, so first of all, before we go into the report, I just want to thank Joan Axford for doing the audit once again this year. She's also volunteered to do it next year, because she has now done it for about 5 years, and that has saved us about $2,500 every year. So, you know, when money's tight, she saved us over $12,500 at least, which is really generous, and it's nice that she's going to keep doing it. So, yeah, like the executive, we're really grateful to her. She's super easy to work for. And now she's doing the TAC books and the TAC sound audits as well. So, which is really nice. You know, some other groups I've gone to, small auditing companies don't want to do an audit for a small company. So I think the first thing we should do is I want to put forward a motion to appoint Joan Axford as supervisory accountant for the year 2022.
Sharon? A second?
Point of order, she made the motion, so you only need a seconder.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we have a motion and seconder, so now we have to vote on it, is that right? Okay, so approve. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Great. So this year it's the third year in a row, after many years of losses, we made a whopping $25 this year. It's down from the $40 we made the year before, but at least we did make a profit. There's a few things that contributed to this decrease. Our membership revenue is down, which is to be expected because you know, with COVID, there was not a lot of people were dancing, so people didn't renew their memberships. But hopefully this year, all of the people who didn't renew their memberships last year will be renewing them. And then insurance costs were higher because in in 2020, we got a COVID relief of $900, which of course isn't gonna keep happening, so last year was higher. TAC costs were less because now we're not mailing it out. And our donations were up. Now the donation, as they come in, unless they're designated for TAC operations, they immediately go towards our debt repayment. So, you know, that really helped. We did make a big dent in our debt repayments, which is great. So does anybody have any, I'm not gonna go through all these pages and pages of my explanations of what's in the various categories on the income statement. Does anybody have any questions on the income statement or the balance sheet? No? I know it makes really good reading. Yes. Sometimes. I have that to talk about when I get to debt repayment, so I'll explain. I'll give you the status of that. Are there any other questions? Nothing online? Okay, so now if over time, if anybody ever has any questions about, you know, income statements, financial statements, just send me an email and I'll answer it for you or try to answer it. So the big thing is our debt. We did start off with, we'll do the restitution from Sandy. He's supposed to pay off $160,000. And at the end of last year, he had paid, we were down to, he was owed us $148,525. So that's like $11,475. And it's currently at, this year, he's paid us, we're at $143,000. We haven't got that much money. We haven't received any restitution from him since March.
Not $143,000.
That's what's left, sorry, that's what's left. You're supposed to see how my mind is working and not what's coming out of my mouth. So he's paid off about $5,500. Yeah, $5,500. So, but hopefully we'll get some more money soon. Let's hope he finds a job. You know, because that's what it is. They garnish his wages. Now our debt, we were at, in the notes, it says our total debt was at $259,700 at the beginning. At the end of last year, we're down to $85,360. Like, that's a huge amount. And that's really due to everyone here, all our members, and considering during COVID, there weren't any, you know, groups weren't dancing, they weren't having fundraisers, but people are extremely generous. And we're now at, we're at 54,000 plus the 25. So the $120,000 loan is now down to $54,185. And that means $185 is due by May 28th, and $54,000 is due before May 2033. So we're making good progress. And then once that gets paid off, the only debt we'll have will be the money tax and loan debt, which is just under $25,000. But that will be the last thing that's paid off. So does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about? Yes.
David, it's obviously kind of stupid, but now theoretically, the criminal is going to pay us more than we owe, which means at some point we might have a positive balance. I mean, theoretically,
We'll have some money.
Is that true? Is that I?
Yes. But
we're not holding our breath, I'm sure.
Let's hope he lives to be several hundred years old. Yeah, because
anyway, yeah.
How much do we get a month if we get money from him? Like 1,000, 2,000? No, that's
it was about $800 a month.
US. So it'll be like about 1,000, a little bit more than 1,000 a month. So how many months would that be? My brain just sort of goes into a lot of months. 143,000 divided.
I have a question
Sure.
David's question, do you repeat David's question? So everybody.
Okay, David's question was, what Sandy owes us is more than our debt outstanding. So once we pay off our debt, the money he continues to pay us, hopefully, then we'll just take it into our books, and that will help us, allow us to build up our reserves, of which we have none. We used to have a reserve, but now we don't, and that would be really great. But it'll be a little while before we get to that stage. And when we do, we will certainly let the members know what we're gonna do with this extra money. But if he's paying $1,000 a year, a month, and he owes us like $143,000, so that's more months than I wanna think about, and I don't definitely wanna convert it to years. 12 years? Oh, well, 12 years isn't that bad.
That's assuming he pays us every month, we haven't had money so far,
Right. So, anyway, but whatever money he gets us is money for us, so, you know, I just am grateful for all the members for being, when I took over and we found out about the debt, I never thought we'd be paying it off this quickly. Now, I feel I'm always bringing bad news to people because now I have another topic of concern, the scholarship funds. Right now, the Bob Blackie scholarship is like over 53,000. The Jubilee has about 78,000. The Bobby Brown has just over 2,000. Now this was the end of last year. Well, this year when I pay out the scholarship, you know, there was a Bobby Brown, a Bob Blackie, and then, you know, Jubilee money went out. Bobby Brown scholarship is almost going to be wiped out. So. Oh, thank you. So just to keep you aware, I know we're really concentrating a lot on debt payments, but scholarships, I brought it up last year at the AGM, and I'm going to keep bringing it up because, as somebody said last year at the AGM, the scholarships help us ensure we get new teachers and, you know, new musicians and stuff. So it's something to think about. You know, if you have some spare money, I'll always take it. Just tell me where you want to put it. We have debt, we have scholarship funds. So, does anybody have any other questions? Any questions? Yes.
Tina McKay, International Branch. It sounds like we are paying off the debt very, very quickly. Dave, do you have a guesstimate or any kind of thought of when we might get that point?
No.
Margaret,
Okay, sorry.
Could we either pass the microphones up if people have questions, or could you repeat it?
Okay, thank you for reminding me. The question was, do I have any idea of when we're paying the debt off quite aggressively, when I thought the debt would be repaid? And the answer is no, I don't, because our donations really fluctuate year to year. So now maybe as we get closer to paying off the debt, we might want to start diverting some of our donations to the scholarship funds or something. But I don't think we're at that stage yet. I'd like to get well into the last payment of $54,000 before we even start thinking. Because to me, $54,000 is still a lot of money to pay off. And then the tax and debt, you know, $25,000. So I'd love us to be debt free. So. Yeah. Yes.
For summer school, and it could potentially cover half of the cost of half. It could be somewhere around $30,000. We'll go in if we get that, and if we do get that, then that will go whatever needs to.
Yeah. So Nancy from the Calgary branch just wanted to let everybody know that once again this year, they've applied for a grant from the provincial government. We'll know in November, you said, right, if we are gonna get it. And it could be up to about $30,000. And if we get that, then the board will discuss what to do with it. I know when we got it after summer school 3 years ago, that enabled us to pay off a lot of the Longwood debt. Without that money, then we then have Longwood debt too, so it would be great. It's nice to see Alberta tax dollars that work for something for us.
Well, it's not the first, it's just,
I don't know if we'll get it or not, but because so many people are showing up and everyone's putting money into the Alberta economy, and I think the Alberta, wants to boost tourism again and activities like that, I think we have a pretty good shot at it, so.
So if we do get it, we'll let everybody know.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yes, thank you, Nancy, for all your hard work doing that application form. I know you needed lots of information.
well, we did it for 2019 and we got the money. So we did it for 2020, we did it for 2021. We did it for 2022, so three's the charm.
So you have lots of experience filling out applications. Okay, does anybody have any other questions about any part of the treasurer's report? I know I just went over it really at the high level, but we can all read, so you can read it. If you have trouble sleeping at night, just read this and it'll put you to sleep, I promise. Okay, no, any questions? No, so I'd like to move that the treasurer's report, oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
It's not a social thing.
What's the difference between Bob Blackie Fund and the Bob Blackie Endowment?
Page 42. Page 42. Oh, page 42, just a sec. 43.
44.
Something people are saying, okay, yeah, I see that. It's an accounting thing, can I just say? That's part of the equity.
I can answer that.
All right, thank you.
Allison in Toronto.
Wait,
hold on. Oh, sorry.
The Bob Blackie Endowment Fund is the money that came from the estate of Bob Blackie's friend, Ed Jones, which set up the Bob Blackie Fund. And so it seems that there's that perhaps that's the original money, and then the fund is the money, is the monies, the donations that we've been giving since. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. It's been a long time since I really,
Well, Bob
took my accounting courses.
Bob and Ed were very good friends of mine, so that's how I know. Thanks.
And so the same thing would be true for all three. There's also the Bobby Brown Fund. Well, the Bob Blackie Fund of the endowment is split up like that for some reason, and it could be the wording of how the scholarship fund was set up, because each of the scholarship funds I've learned has slightly different wording. So then, depending on how it's worded, depends on how we have to account for it in our books. Is that okay? Does that answer your question? Otherwise, I can do more research for you. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No more questions? No more questions online, Cynthia? Oh, good. So can I move that the treasurer's report be accepted as presented?
Miller Medicine Hat Branch.
Can we vote to approve it? All in favor? Sorry, I don't know how to say it. Anybody opposed? Then it's passed.
It's carried.
Yay.
Thank you, Margaret. We'll move on to the area reps report. Ken Saunders from the New Jersey branch. Cynthia, could you give Ken?
So there is an area reps report in the consent agenda. I think I got my language right. But every year we have an area reps meeting, normally on teacher conference weekend. But because of all the COVID fun we're having, it was online and it was last week. I'm simply going to read what was added on to the thing. So, don't steam up. 19 area reps met on Zoom last Sunday to share experiences of dancing through COVID. Nearly all classes have returned to dancing, initially with vaccination and masking requirements, and those requirements have changed over time with case numbers and updated medical guidance. One class even has suspended vaccination requirements when the numbers were very low. Various challenges have led to a few classes not restarting. Some classes lost their venues, some teachers have aged out, and in a few cases, some teachers or classes disagreed with their branch guidelines for safe dancing. Many class sizes have fallen, not all, some by a few dancers and some by as much as 50% due to aging out, residual COVID concerns, can't wear a mask, and just lost habit of coming through some people. A couple of classes are continuing with a hybrid approach with Zoom and live dancing, so if there's any residual interest in that, we can refer you there. Some classes have recruited new dancers, although at a lower rate than pre-COVID rates, and most assume that recruitment will turn to pretty much pre-COVID rates in this September. Beyond classes, many events have restarted with vaccination and masking requirements again. Some have restricted their attendance numbers, and some public appearances or demonstrations where they normally have audience participation can do that. Most events were without incident, although I think most of us know now that Pinewood suffered some positive test results a few weeks ago with attendees leaving. There are some positive notes out of this, and one particular positive note is that in a couple of areas, with travel restrictions, local musicians have actually come to the fore who've hitherto been overshadowed by more established players. So there is some good news, silver lining in all of this. If you actually do want to read a fuller version of this, I sent out a fuller version to the area reps earlier in the week, and they should have shared it with you. And if they haven't, please chase them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. So the next on the agenda is the Strategic Planning Committee report by Ward Fleury from the San Diego branch.
Ellen, do we need to accept the area report?
Yes, you're right. Thank you. So can I have a motion to accept Ken's report? Simone Vancouver in a second. Trina Merriman, San Francisco. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Ken. Now, we're going to move on to the Strategic Planning Committee report by Ward Fleury.
I'd like to start, excuse me, by acknowledging the committee who's been working on this since last June, a year ago. So could you, the ones who are here, please stand. All right, let's give my hand. All right, so I hope everyone knows that there's been this effort going on, and there's only been 3 articles in TAC Talk about it, 2 Zoom meetings, an area rep meeting, a number of videos produced. So if you haven't heard about it, I refer you to the TAC homepage, where over on the right you'll see this link to entire 26 pages of the strategic plan, complete with background and strategic objectives. For this effort, however, this presentation, the committee urged me to make a one-page summary. Mine is one page, unfortunately, due to a glitch in how it was printed, it turned out to be 2 pages on yours. I apologize, I should have generated a PDF before I handed it off to Kathy to print, but oh well. So just very briefly, I think everyone can appreciate the challenges that TAC has faced in the past few years. You know, declining membership as teachers are getting older and decide to retire. Just in general, the number of dancers in North America has decreased over time. And then, of course, as you just heard, all the challenges we've had financially. So actually doing the strategic plan during COVID turned out to be a good time to do it because it was real easy to schedule meetings where just about everyone was able to attend. That became more of a challenge the past several months when people actually were doing something other than strategic planning. But we still managed, I think, to accomplish a great deal. So let me just give you a quick summary. So one of the things we wanted to do was come up with a mission statement because that really has been missing. And just very simply, the mission of TAC is to teach, inspire, and connect Scottish country dance teachers in North America and beyond. We thought it was important to put in beyond because 25% of our membership is outside the US and Canada. And then the really important part here is the vision statement. By 2028, we envision a vibrant TAC that supports a thriving Scottish country dance community in North America through additional and diverse events, a sound financial foundation, and compelling membership value. And from this, we came up with 3 goal areas, one having to do with finance and administration, and that's to achieve financial strength, effective administration, and use of enhanced technology through fundraising and expansion of leadership roles among membership. And then there's teacher development is the second, create development program that recruits and supports new teachers and offers growth and learning opportunities for experienced teacher at TAC's teacher conference weekends, summer school, and during the year. And the third goal area is the promotion of Scottish country dancing and TAC. And this is increase the visibility of and participation in Scottish country dancing and TAC in North America. There's also a values statement, and you can read that in all the material that I referred to previously. A lot of the 26 pages talks about the various strategic objectives that support each one of these 3 goal areas. But the emphasis that I want to make now is it's great to have a plan and it's exciting and we really put a lot of energy into it. And we have a diverse committee in terms of locations and experience in Scottish country dancing and teaching. But a plan is great, but it's worthless unless you do something with it, right? And so we put too much effort in it to just have it collect dust on a shelf. So we're really in the phase now of talking about implementation. And you can gather, and especially if you take a look at some of the things that we put together, this is something that the executive committee is not going to be doing on all its own because we've got a lot of other things that we're responsible for doing in terms of daily and regular operations. So you really need to enlist membership. And so our committee has formulated or proposed a number of committees to do this. And so that's what the rest of this summary document talks about. And next to each committee, I've indicated just a summary of the sorts of things, activities that would be involved. So it makes sense for us to have a fundraising committee to address some of the issues that Barbara just raised herself, and also to fund a lot of these initiatives that we think are quite ambitious but extremely helpful to the health and future of TAC. So the fundraising committee is to develop and implement a fundraising plan to pay off debt and fund strategic initiatives. We also have an archive committee. We have an archive already, a physical archive, but we really felt it was important to develop a digital archive because it's going to be so much more helpful to people when it's readily accessible. To support this and other efforts, we figured there should be a technology group to help upgrade the IT infrastructure that we're dealing with. That would support not only the archive, but also a number of online classes and master classes. The education committee, one of the several of the objectives is to create a mentorship program, offer group discussions for new teachers, develop regional teachers workshops, provide online master classes, recruit and train new teachers and CTI instructors. And probably the most ambitious is towards the end of this planning period, plan to have a winter school, which would complement summer school for those who, for whatever reason, can't make it during the summer, but there would be another opportunity to come together under the, let's say, the TAC umbrella. We also have proposed having an advertising committee to publicize these various events, a membership committee to develop a value proposition and explore membership strategies, a youth committee that would promote greater participation of youth in Scottish country dancing and in TAC summer school. And a lot of this could end up being offering reduced rates for those under 35 to attend summer school and promote supporting various scholarships like we already have, like the Jubilee Scholarship to encourage new potential teachers to take teacher training. And finally, an information hub working group that would develop and maintain an online information hub of Scottish country dance events and resources in North America. We're not so much looking to compete with the inner city Scot, we certainly want to coordinate with them, but the group envisioned having a resource that, for example, would indicate Scottish country dance musicians in various locations and their availability to provide live music for the groups. So my summary finishes up with a call to action, because we need you to make all these things come true. So please consider what skills, talents, time available that you might have that could fit into some of these committees that we propose. We realize that this plan is not everything that we've laid out is going to follow the timeline. These happen, but we think it's a good framework to work with. Everything in there we believe is worthwhile, worth considering. And you can contact me if you have any questions about the report or if you want to sign up. And let's see, I even have sign-up sheets for the various committees that I'll make sure that they're on the tables in the back. So certainly encouraged to think about that. And if you don't think you have any talent or ability to share, I can tell you that Ellen, Gordon, and I got together, and it's, to quote Gilbert and Sullivan's Mikado, we've got a little list on both sides, actually. Okay, so if you don't think you have talent, we might. So, and we might be talking to you about this talent during this weekend and during the week. So I think with that, I'll wrap it up.
We have a question?
I know this is TAC. Oh, Allison Lowe in Vancouver. I know it's TAC, we're teachers and we're all members of TAC, and this is our initiatives. But are we missing out on opportunities of really smart people to help from the bigger Scottish country dance community that could be invited to help on some of these committees instead of just the teachers that are already
No, we have considered that, and, I think our strategy is that we'll accept help from anyone who's able to give it. And maybe they would even consider becoming associate members, which would be a bonus, but that would not necessarily be a requirement. Yeah. Any other questions? If anything comes up to you during the rest of the weekend or the week, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
As a member of the committee, I have to say that we were all really energized by the discussions we had. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank Ward for doing such a great job of organizing the meetings and organizing the whole process. Thank you. So if there are no more questions for Ward, can we have a motion to accept Ward's Marjorie McLaughlin from San Diego branch? Do we have a second? Cheryl Vernon, Winnipeg. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Ward. Thank you very much. So, new business, recognition of the 25-year members. And we're pleased to have a couple of them here with us. David Booz from Toronto, Ontario. Thank you, David. Brian Caruth from Vancouver, British Columbia. Other members who weren't able to join us are Bob Anderson from Victoria, British Columbia, Susan Isley from Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Jean Gibson from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Marion Heath from Bellingham, Washington, Lynn Hudson from Te Bay of Plenty, New Zealand, Sarah Lynn Johnson from Buffalo, New York, Margaret Lamborn from Neuwigen, Netherlands, Rebecca Ruman from Buffalo, New York. So I'd like to say thank you to those members for their continued support and membership in TAC. Next on the agenda is the Ad Hoc Financial Security Committee. Margaret?
Okay, last year at the AGM, it came out that we needed to work on, as we knew, the security controls for the summer events treasure. So we formed a little subcommittee, and I'd like to thank everybody who was on it, which was Gordon Robinson, Eric Mackay, who was the past summer events treasurer for the last couple of years, Frida Osborne, Gail Forrester, Ken Saunders, and Craig Williams, who is the current treasurer for summer events. So they helped, we all worked on developing these recommendations. So the first thing we thought is to make sure we get the right summer events treasurer. You know, we need to do a bit more research into who we're offering the job to. So we came up with questions. We're asking them to get a police check done. We're talking to people in the branch they belong to. So we sort of laid out the type of person, the person we need and what we're doing to try and make sure we get the right person. And we have questions to ask both the person and the references. And then we worked on controls for like the PayPal account. Most of the dues for summer events comes into the PayPal account, which is a huge amount of money. So we set up controls and making sure it gets emptied quickly, from there into the bank accounts, because most of the bills are paid from the bank account. So we set up, we have controls on the PayPal account and on the bank account for summer events. And then we also, set up things that need to be done monthly so that it's not just the summer events treasurer who's looking, you know, paying the bills and looking at it. Other people are monitoring it. And also the summer events treasurer can no longer, sign checks for the summer events bank account. Part of it is because the summer events treasurer is not on the board, so therefore it's covered by our, insurance. So we've laid it all out, and, this is like a work in progress. As we discover things that work or don't work, or that maybe need more work, we will add them and adjust it. But this is our first round, and we started to implement. Craig sends out monthly reports on comparing actual expenses to budget and everything, and it goes to the summer events director, the TAC chairman, and the TAC treasurer. And then sometimes if you just know somebody else is looking at it, it does provide, you might stop and think. So does anybody have any questions on what we sort of are outlined? No? Okay. And oh, I didn't know there was anything behind me.
I'm just, sorry. Marjorie McLaughlin, San Diego branch. So I'm maybe getting too practical here. I've been the summer events registrar, but it's generally the summer school director that does that, the treasurer, rather than the registrar.
Sorry, what part?
The top bullet point on page 52. The summer events treasurer will work with the summer events registrar to ensure that the venue bills the correct number of days and so on. Based on my experience, and I think Kathy would agree, that's really more the responsibility of the director.
So that's the treasurer and the director, and not the
Yes.
registrar. Okay.
I mean, I certainly, on a number of occasions, will email the treasurer and the director to ask that an invoice be issued, but it tends to be individuals, their rooms or their registration. So just
well, so we'll change that. I mean, we sort of looked at how we thought things worked, but how you think and what actually happens can be different. So thank you, Marjorie. We probably should have run this by you before. And not give you work to do as registrar that you didn't know you were supposed to be doing. Okay, so, and then we also, no invoice, right now, the two people that can sign on the summer events, bank accounts is myself and Fiona. Now, since Fiona will be leading the board, it's going to be Kathy. So we always make sure we have two people, and then no invoice can be, I won't write a check until I get the treasurer's approval and the director's approval. And then the treasurer, he can view the bank account so he can see if I'm writing checks that he doesn't know about. Like, for example, I obviously can't spell Dalhousie University or write numbers because I had to void a check, and right away Craig was emailing and saying, what happened to this check? I said, well, I can't spell, so I have to void it. So, we're all trying to stay focused in our own little bit and make sure that, which is, I think, more than was happening before. I mean, it's too bad we had to go through all of this to find this out, but it's hard to think people will do these things. So hopefully this will help, but it's not a final work in process. It's a work in process. We'll keep, as we decide things are too weak, we'll just put more controls in. Yes?
Eileen Sue, Seattle branch. I just had a question whether it said, the bank accounts are in Canada, it's easier if the treasurer is a resident of Canada. Are there any complications if we have a summer event in, say, the United States? Does that add an extra wrinkle in terms of this?
Well, we have the summer events accounts, we have a US bank account and a Canadian bank account. And to be honest, the Canadian banks, we can have US bank accounts that will have checks that unless it's a tiny bank in the US. I know the US has lots of banks, and some banks won't, just that my glasses are foggy now, so I can't see anybody. Some US banks, have trouble accepting a check, even if it's in US dollars on a Canadian bank account. But then you can just issue them a money order. I think for long when I did write them a check, but sometimes, if I have to write a US check, we'll just get a US money order and send it off, so. I think it's harder, the banking rules in Canada, if one of the signing authority is a US, the bank told me, then it starts having ramifications of being looked as a foreign-owned, partially a foreign-owned bank account, and can cause lots of paper. And it's hard enough to change signatures of people in Canada, let alone now add somebody in US. Or just think about all the problems we had with PayPal, remember, Ellen? It took weeks. When you start changing things, especially if it's in the US, they just want to know just about everything about the people in the US. Like Canadians, you could just send ID, but I don't know. Alan and Jeff, I know way too much about them. If I could remember. So that's the only reason why we put Canada. So it should be okay if the summer events ever go to the US. And if it wasn't, then maybe we'd have to make an exception for that year and have a bank account in the US, and we'd have to work on these controls to guide us. Good question. Anybody else have any questions? No? So other than making that change from registrar to director, can I move that the, security control of the, yes?
I'll move it.
Oh, you're moving it, okay.
Vicky Belton, Toronto branch.
Second, Allison Booth, Toronto branch.
So that was seconded by Allison Booth, Toronto branch. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Margaret. And the next item is Margaret again, proposal to increase membership fees.
I'm sure you're all tired of hearing me talk, but, membership fees, as I've said for several years now, our membership dues are not covering our year-to-year operating expenses. It's not looking at summer school, summer events, any of those, it's just, TAC, the insurance and all of those things. So, we've reduced our operating expenses by going to TAC online, not mailing it out, not mailing out AGM reports, because just think, to mail out 55 pages to a lot of people. Printing is expensive, postage is expensive, so we cut that down. I think this year Marion mailed one report to somebody, but that cost to get it printed was $24 just to print that report and get it bound or something. I don't know, I just, postage and all that. I don't know where it had to be mailed to, but she just sent me a bill and I think it was $20 or $24. So by not mailing it out, we're saving money. Joan is doing the audit, that's saving us money. So we've tried to cut the expenses as much as we can, and we're still not breaking even. The last 2 years, Alan has sent out a chairman appeal at the end of the year to try and cover the debt, which did. That's how we made our whopping $40 and $25. So over the years, from about 2005 to 2015, our dues were $30 a year. Then in 2016, they went up to 35, and in 2019, they're 50. So our current membership is 305 people, including 20 associates and 15 lifetime members. And the associate fees are $45. So what I did is I took our total expenses for the last 3 years, took out debt repayment, because That's a fluctuating number, and it doesn't go to our operating expenses, it goes to paying off debt. So that doesn't affect our operating expenses. I took out the jury expenses because we get reimbursed from the RSCDS on that. That insurance rebate from COVID was a one-time thing. And then there was there was a refund of an outreach grant and year-to-year adjustment. So I took out all the stuff that isn't normal, that were one-ups. And so I showed our expenses ranged from 17,000, 16,000 to 14. While 21 is middle of COVID, was a bit low, so the average worked out to 16,000. We now have inflation, insurance costs are going up, so I'm saying, let's estimate our costs are 17,000. And so what I did is I took 17,000 divided by some suggested membership prices. $50, we need 340 members. If it was 55, we need 309 members to break even. 60, we need 283, and 65, we need 262. And our current membership, excluding the life members, is 290. So that falls between 55 and 60. So I would like to propose that in order to hopefully cover all our expenses, that the membership for full members be raised from 50 to 60 and this would be effective July 1st next year, 2023, and that the associate members would go from 45 to 50. This would maybe allow us, 55, sorry, thank you. This would allow us maybe to not have to have a year-end appeal. And does anybody have any questions? Yes, Louise. Oh.
Thank you, Louise McGillivray, Edmonton branch. It takes a long time to raise fees, to increase fees, excuse me. And I can remember we had a huge discussion in Minneapolis about fees and et cetera. I just want to comment that 60 is pretty tight. And if we have to do this again, we have to go through all this pain. I would prefer to see it be more than 60 so we don't have to do this again next year. So when it comes time for moving that or seconding that, I'd be up for more than 60.
What would you think?
Well, are we at the point of I move that?
No. Well, I thought we're still discussing.
Yes. Anyway, that's just my thought, that it's pretty tight to make it 60. How much?
Yeah.
I would suggest at least 65 or 70. I mean, how many coffees is that?
Fran Carruth from Vancouver. Louise, I completely support that. And so for membership, I say $60. Truly, I would suggest 75. We've got a strategic plan that has all sorts of really good initiatives in it. If we think we're going to work on that, I think we should head for 75. We want this organization and what we do to live. So that's my.
Anybody else?
Ken Heineman from Portland. Is there any historical information about what was drop off or in membership when you raised in the past? We're right now, economics are not good for a lot of people. And yes, the organization needs the money and it has a very valuable purpose, but you always got to consider what is the impact on a lot of the people. We're already having a problem with membership retention, right? So, historically, when you went from 30 to 40, what was the drop off? And can you forecast what that would be? But to the other point, if you raise it to 60, but you lose 5% of your members, you're still in a hole.
Way back, I don't know.
So Catherine Sherman, Membership Secretary, Vancouver. So last year, so 2021, 2022, has 305 members. I don't have my glasses on.
Let me get my glasses. Oh, wait, easier. There we go.
Okay, just going back in time, so 2020, 248, 2019, 361, 2018, 374, and 2017, 342. So we actually went up.
So the increase between 2018 and 2019 was from 35 to 50, so there's the question.
So,
But at the same time, when we raised our fees and membership went up, we also had a big push. That was when we discovered how much debt we were in and the whole mess. And lots of people, really thought, well, I should be getting more involved and I joined. So it's really hard because we have that push to increase membership then, as well as some people who didn't renew because of the increase in fees. So.
yeah, and I wasn't membership secretary, I was membership secretary in 2016, but I didn't have a good control of those numbers because I didn't get prior, I got nothing from the prior membership secretary, so I have no idea what happened.
What was the difference in numbers between 2018 and 2019?
The question is, what's the difference in membership numbers 2018 and 2019 by Allison Booth?
Went from 374 to 361.
374 to 361.
Yeah.
Actually, it was more of a suggestion, because I appreciate both Ken's point and Fran and everyone else's points. Can I suggest many organizations, so we have an associate membership, which is slightly less. I suggest that we have a sponsoring membership. So we have a regular membership. I suggest we add on top of that a sponsoring membership. So regular membership is $60. A sponsoring membership could be $80 or $75. We might want to publish the names of people who are sponsoring members, in TAC. I don't know. Anyway, my point is that there are many organizations that have sort of tiers of membership, so that people who cannot afford to pay more can continue to pay $60. People who want to pay more, which there are many of us, perfectly happy to do, but we just give them a different tier of membership. That makes things a little complicated for the treasurer and for the membership secretary, but on the other hand, if it increases the amount of money we're getting in and helps us clear our debt problems, a little bit of extra effort might be worth the trouble.
Well, we also have a question.
Just to keep things in perspective, we brought the associate membership in 2017, so in 2018, when the numbers went up by 30, that's when the associate members would have been kind of coming more on board.
Richard Bennett, Vancouver branch. While I appreciate the comments about the different tiers of membership, I'd rather see anybody who felt that they could pay more to give that extra as a donation, because I feel that tiered membership could actually become a split between the different levels. So I'd rather have the membership levels as they are now, associate member, and for those of us that would like to, put that rest of the money just into a straight donation, not into a different membership level.
I'll make one comment, Cynthia West, whether the instructor, you have the option in the form to make a donation of your membership to them.
And more people, especially this year, I know there's people who are renewing. I really know that more people were giving an extra donation, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Some people gave 450. So you could all give 450, we'd be out of debt in no time.
Sharon Bucket, Calgary branch. I just wanted to say that once we settle on a membership price, could I suggest that the committee looks at the membership rate every year so that we don't have a giant increase 3 years down the road? If we increase it $1 or $2 every year, people would be more receptive to that than a $15 or a $20 increase all at once.
Trina Merriam in San Francisco. I think it is very important that we not price people out, but there are ways of doing that other than asking for donations from others. I would suggest that we make a significant level, like you say, $70 or something like that, as the standard. And then to offer a lesser one, a less expensive one, I don't know what you would call it, probably not financial aid, but, some kind of other level, this is what I can afford, thank you level, something like that, so that the standard is higher, not the standard be lower and people donate above that.
Marjorie McLaughlin, San Diego. It strikes me that the $5 difference between associate and full member, it's not big enough. I mean, I think there are people who would like to support this organization who may not be teachers, in the way that many of us are associate members of other branches. And if there were a bigger discrepancy there, it could encourage more people to become associates as supporters of TAC. I'm in favor of higher rates for those of us that are full members, but I somehow feel like that there were a bigger difference between those two to encourage associate membership.
So I'm gonna, I guess I'm here. So Laura Finchello, Twin Cities branch. I wanted to speak to the idea about that was it Trina raised. And one possible approach could be to just simply have a sliding scale membership, say, and inform people this is the amount that, when I've seen sliding scale memberships for other organizations, they'll say like, this is the kind of amount that we need to cover expenses, but we invite you to self-select your payment based on your circumstances in this range. It goes below that and above that. So that's one possible way to address it. And then I'd also say regarding the associate member thing, it gets complicated because we had many discussions about why do people become associate members, and one of the reasons is because you get a better rate for summer school, and so that kind of works against us because people are, I don't know, it gets complicated, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. So we have to kind of think carefully about how we adjust the associate membership in comparison. I have a question or a comment from online. I'll read that and I'll come around and have a couple more in the room. This is from Karen Solins of the Boston branch. Her comment is, the Boston branch has 2 levels for individuals. The higher one is $25 above the regular. We generally see to have about a 5% take on this. In addition, people can also make donations separately. By the way, we also have a reduced price membership for hardship and students. I hope I said it correctly here.
Vicki Zelton, Toronto branch. I'd like to go back, I think, to the point that Sharon was making, and our membership seems to jump. We have a couple of years at one price, and then it jumps, and it's a great big sort of leap. So, in terms of planning and not that piece of it, I think I'd almost be more comfortable saying, we'll do, $55 for 2 years, and then it's gonna go up to $60 in 2 years, and $65 2 years after that. So that people know that the money is needed and that, expenses are increasing.
but it's not that we're going from $50 to $75, in 1 week. And then let's just say in 2 years from now, we're not gonna say we're gonna go from 75 to 90. That we had it at $30 for so long, that I think some of us became complacent in the fact that the membership fee was not that much. But to keep making big leaps and bounds in membership, cost just doesn't really work. So if we're going to do a big cost change, I would recommend that we say, for the next 5 years, it would be this, for the next 3 years, it would be this. Yeah. So that that, okay, if we're gonna go from 50 to 75, it's a 5 year, then the price won't change in that 5 years. Just something to think about.
Melissa has her hand up.
It's Melissa Whitson from the Portland branch, and I have an observation as well as a suggestion. First of all, the observation, I love all this discussion. It's so fabulous, and it ties right to the strategic plan. As Ward was saying, there are 2 committees I would love to have all you folks who've been talking sign up for. One is the fundraising, and the other is the membership value proposition, right? That's what we're really talking about here. So my proposal is, because we need to kind of do something soonish here on the memberships, maybe for now, we go to the 60, pick a number, and all these other wonderful ideas, let's take them away and let these committees work on them and develop them and come up with a good, thoughtful strategy.
Fiona Miller, Medicine Hat Branch. Just a little background. In 2019, the executive Margaret brought forward the suggestion that membership jump to $70 because we were so low in funds. At that meeting, the membership felt, no, that was too much of a jump. They'd like to do it in a couple of stages. And at that point, the membership agreed that we would increase to $50, knowing that within a couple of years, it was going to jump again. So this hasn't completely come out of the blue. So just a reminder, in 2019, those of us who were present in Minneapolis, that was the decision that was made. It would be a smaller increase, knowing that the larger amount would be made up within a couple of years. We just didn't know COVID would be in the middle. Thank you.
Yeah, because we were, I think, figuring we'd increase it after a couple of years, but there's no point. I know the board talked about raising fees last year or the year before, but how could we with nobody dancing? So that's why we're looking at it now.
Call the question?
Any other?
No, call the question stops everything.
Wow.
Sorry. That's
Okay.
parliamentary.
But there's no movement on what's going on now.
Yeah, so okay, so Eileen's gonna have a question.
It's Eileen Patterson from somewhere between Seattle and Windsor. So it's just because that's it's between branches at the minute. Anyway, my point is there are a few things that we don't do now, if it goes again, that we used to do. One of the things were if somebody donated something, anything, their name was mentioned in the next TAC talk. And you weren't told, you were told what they donated it for, but nobody put how much it was. You could donate for, we could give a donation for John Shaw, for example. And it could go to the administration. It doesn't have to be. The Silver Jubilee Fund used to get an awful lot from people who were just showing their respect to somebody or something. And in those days, just as another issue, June Shaw was working on a 600 membership. Now, June has been at it for a long time and she knew how to do these things. I would also like to make this point in time of saying what a good job Catherine has done. She had absolutely nothing, and she has been amazing. Thank you, that's all I wanted to say.
I just have one comment in reply to Eileen's thing. We have, at our last meeting or 2 meetings, we have been talking about recognizing donations in ACTOP, but we thought we should wait till we got the new board members, since it came up right, just before the AGM. So we are gonna follow up on that, so thank you.
This is Alexandra Branch. I'd like to move that we adjust or increase our membership price to $60 for a full membership for the upcoming year, for the 2023 membership.
And
Do I have a seconder?
What about associate members?
The associate members would be the $5 reduced as per regular.
Fran? Denise Cunningham.
Vancouver branch.
Oh, Denise Cunningham, Vancouver branch.
Allison.
I would like to amend that motion to be 65 full membership, 55 associate membership. And is there a seconder? Marjorie McLaughlin, San Diego. Now, the procedure for this is we have to vote on the amendment first. So the amendment is 65 for full membership, 55 for associate. And if the amendment fails, then we go back to the beginning.
Moira Corus, Toronto branch. I would just like to propose another amendment. I wonder if we could consider youth membership also. We're trying to encourage younger dancers to be involved in summer school and in TAC. So perhaps there could be an under 35 membership that is less than the regular membership. So the proposal is 65 for, so maybe the youth membership is 40.
So do we have a second for that proposal? Allison Miller, Vancouver. So the proposal that we have now is 65 for full membership, 55 for associate, and 40 for youth. Wait.
I'm willing to amend my motion to include Moira's motion, that'll make it simpler.
Okay, Allison has agreed to amend her.
Are you okay with that?
And Marjorie is okay with that. So we have the original proposal and seconded by the amendment.
So it would be 65, 55, and 40 youth.
It is 65 full, 55 associate, and 40 youth.
Question for clarification, youth membership is a teacher under 35.
So the youth is a teacher under 35. Or an associate. So.
But it could be a teacher or an associate person.
Okay, one more time.
Sorry, question.
Yeah, 65 for full, 55 for associate, over 35. Those are over 35. The youth membership is 40 for under 35, either full or associate members. 35 and under. Or teachers. Or associate. Yes, under 35. If anyone's 35 or under. All in. All in favor? Sorry, there's a question? Oh, Gordon.
So, we need a clarification. We have to know whether these youth. We need a clarification. We have to know whether these youth members are going to be voting members or not. Sorry, can I just, this has to be clear because otherwise we could get into problems at a meeting where people are voting or not. So I don't mind what it is, it's just, we have to be absolutely clear what the standard is.
That's a really good point. I would say if the person is a certificated teacher, under our current membership guidelines, and they are under 35, they would pay the lower rate. If they are not a teacher but want to become an associate, as others have done, that they would also qualify for that rate.
But then the question of voting.
Oh, but yes, but if it was a teacher, they would be able to vote. I know that gets a little messy.
That gets very complicated.
I have a suggestion that might simplify making payment if you want.
Laura Friedman, Twin Cities branch. I don't know if this is like legal or whatever, but possibly it could simplify this. Can we call this youth category a youth discount rather than a separate membership category? Because then it just applies to any membership category, and then you have the same rights as you would have as you normally would. So you have a youth discount for the full membership, a youth discount for the associate membership.
And Cynthia West, I had a question, a point of clarification. If we do have a new membership student, we have to amend our bylaws.
Yes, we do.
That's why, can we just call it a discount and not a new membership category? Does that allow?
Margaret, are you good with that? I'm fine with that. Moira, are you good with that? Are you okay with that, calling it a discount? Okay, we're all good.
Okay, all the people who proposed and amended and whatever are agreeing that it can be a discounted rate. So is it, do you have a question?
They'll tell you.
Yeah, they can, yeah. Hold on, please speak into the microphone.
We have to be careful if we deal with actually asking people ages, we get information that makes it easily acceptable, so it's just a case of are you under 35 period.
Yes, they're gonna select that discount.
So that was Ken Saunders from the New Jersey branch, cautioning us against asking ages, so it will just be there and they can say they're under 35 and we accept that. And Kathy Simonson? She needs a mic. Cynthia won't be dancing tonight, she'll be.
All right, so just for, again, my point, clarification, what we're going to do is offer a $35 discount, this is clever, for the 35 and under, so that the membership fee will. Oh, rats, okay, well, you could make it 35 and under for the 35 and under, no, okay. 20, yeah, whatever, but it's the same amount, so $25 off of 60? 65. Well, wait, didn't we say it was gonna be a $30 membership? No, when we were talking about. Oh, 40, okay, so it's 65 minus 25 if you're a teacher, and 55 minus 25 if you're an associate. 15. Okay, so long as that's clear, except you've then got people paying the same amount for less privilege. Okay, as long as you're cool with that.
So, one final clarification, the discounted rate for youth who are 35 or under is it's actually $40. Okay, so it's just a discounted rate, and that's acceptable, Jeff? Okay. All in favor?
Of the amendment.
Please, can you type it in for us?
So I have a couple of requests online. I haven't been able to keep up because I've been running around.
Okay,
So I'm
sorry.
going to read those out right quick. The first question is, please type the whole proposal before voting. I'm trying to do, but it keeps changing. Give me a minute. Keith Park would like to ask a question. Is youth a new membership or category? I think we've changed that and made the point about the bylaws. So now it says discount. There's just some people saying it's audio, and we were having a lot of discussion in the room that could not be heard. So could we have one statement saying all that we are about to vote on, and I need to also type it in so that our online people can vote on that as you do it.
Okay, so the full membership rate is $65. Associate rate is $55. And a discount for youth who are 35 or under for either full or associate membership is $40. It is a discount rate. It's not a $40 off. It's, the rate is $40 if you're 35 or under. So are you able to have them vote by Zoom? Okay, so once again, all in favor? Opposed? Two opposed. And online?
I put in the question, you cannot change polls once your meeting is in progress apparently. All right, wait, let me do it. I can try to do it again.
This is for the amendment. Actually, I could ask the room, is there anyone who abstains? Also two. We're waiting on the online. Now it's out.
Okay. So, Cynthia, I'm going to clear this by just submitting it with nothing.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
No, I got it. It's on its way. So I think everybody online had their chance, the responses of who's going to respond has. There's one person abstaining, and then there are 15 that voted yes and 3 that said no.
Okay, so the amendment is carried. So that's it.
3 opposed and 1 abstained.
So now we have to vote for the amended motion, which is essentially the same as the amendment.
Okay. So we've accepted the amendment, and now we need to vote on the main motion, which is amended. Amended main motion. So, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Yeah, I don't know if you can run that through Zoom again. Yeah. Yeah. So I think everybody's in on that one. They're not getting any additional responses, so it's 15 yeas and 1 no. Okay, thank you. The amendment, the amended motion is carried. Thank you, Allison. Moving on to the nominations committee, which is page 55. Fiona?
Thank you. I am very excited about this. I had decided Fiona Miller, Medicine Hat Branch, past chair representing the nomination committee. I had given myself until 3 o'clock, at which point I officially am no more a member of this executive. Nomination committee would like to propose the following. In the position of chair for the session 22-23, Catherine Simonson. Vice Chair and Director of Summer School for next year, Ward Flurry. Treasurer, Margaret Dudley. Recording Secretary, Gordon Robinson. Corresponding Secretary, Cheryl Thurman. Membership Secretary, Catherine Sherman. The past chair will then become Ellen Sears. We have 5 positions who are members at large. And at our last meeting, we already had designated their positions. Chair of TCW next year, 2023, Lara Friedman-Shedloff. Candidate course, Gail Forster. Web liaison, Cynthia West. Area reps and outreach, Ken Saunders. Facility events and planning, Isabel Smith. And the appointments, Melissa Whitson and Ken Hyman for TAC Sound. Frida Osborne for TAC Books. Alison Booz for TAC Talk. And Craig Williams has agreed to continue as our web liaison. Thank you very much. I move the following positions. Thank you. We have a second from Vicki Zelton, Toronto, friend. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Carried. Thank you, Fiona. I would like to welcome Sharon Durden. We're thrilled to have you on the board. And say thank you to Marion Hamilton. Thank you. Thank you, Marion Hamilton. And Fiona, we will miss you, most definitely, but we have your email. Yeah, we know where you live. Very likely. So other business, the anniversary subcommittee report.
Fiona Miller?
I'm coming up this way just so everybody can see me rather than swiveling around. Most of you probably already know, and if you don't, I don't know which rock you've been hiding under, but anyway, next year, 2023, is the 100th anniversary of the RSCDS. It is also the 90th summer school the RSCDS have been hosting. At the same time, TAC will be celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary. Sorry. Their 65th anniversary from their inauguration. Don't know where that came from. Anyway, we will be 65 years old next year. At the same time, TAC will be holding their 50th summer school. In response to the fact that we do have a couple of major events coming up, a committee was formed to help celebrate these events. I'm going to let you hold our logos up. The committee has been hard at work already coming up with thoughts and ideas, and we have produced two logos. Summer School always has its own logo. Next year, as you know, Summer School is being held out in Halifax, so we have an East Coast theme to represent that. Throughout the year, any written documents, TAC talk, that sort of thing, will be using the 65th anniversary logo. In conjunction with the RSCDS 100th anniversary, during summer school next year, we will be having a live streamed event that one of the evenings at Younger Hall in St. Andrews will be a tea dance in Halifax, and it will be live streamed, a combined event. So that will be one of the highlights of the year. Along with that, there will be lots of other events happening, and any ideas and thoughts are more than welcome. There will be loads of swag, and you can choose your logo. We even have some ideas that will have both logos on the swag. But just start thinking about it now. It's going to be a huge year. We hope to have lots of amazing things happening to recognize that. We're doing lots of historical research, bringing up some of our archives. If anybody is interested in doing any of that sort of thing or being part of the committee, please contact myself, would be the most direct way. And we look forward to seeing you and enjoy having you as part of our anniversary celebrations. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. So the next item is Mary Hamilton, our corresponding secretary, has been sending out thank you notes and sympathy cards. And she wanted me to mention several past TAC members who have died in the last year that she sent cards to their families for. Edith Chapman from Victoria, BC, and Haig from Rochester, New York, Jim Healy he's the RSCDS chair from 2014 to 2016, and he was a great supporter of TAC. Ian McHappy from Toronto, Ontario, Paul Miller, who was TAC Books manager with his wife Anne from 1986 to 1991 from Brantford, Ontario, Elizabeth Nurse, who was past TAC chair from 1998 to 2000 from Waterloo, Ontario, John Shaw, who was TAC sound manager with his wife Catherine from 1992 to 1998 from London, Ontario. If there are any people that we have missed, we would like to know so that we can acknowledge them and send cards to their family. Irene? Liz Payton.
Yes, she ran the tax books. They were next door neighbors. They were tax books before and Miller.
So Liz Payton, who was TAC Books manager. Thank you. Thank you, Erin. I don't see any others, but if you know of anyone, do pass that on to us, because we would like to acknowledge that to their family. Thank you. So if there's no other business, I would like to thank the executive committee for their tremendous support over the last few years. They're an amazing group of people, a lot of talent, a lot of good ideas, just a really dynamic group of people. Welcome Sharon Dernan, and say goodbye to Fiona and to Marion. And I'd also like to extend thank you to the Summer Events Committee, who have been spending years trying to get this off the ground and being extremely inventive along the way. Catherine Simonson, the director, Laura Friedman Shedlove, TCW director and Summer Events assistant director, Marjorie McLaughlin, registrar, Craig Williams, treasurer, Sharon Barker, local hospitality, Ward Fleury, Summer Events Director, and 2023 he's shadow for Summer Events Director, and in 2023 will be Summer Events Director. Gil Forrester for Exam Coordinator, and I'd like to thank Cynthia West, our web liaison, for running the rest. And Laura Friedman for running the overhead, and especially the members on Zoom and in this room for your tremendous support over the years. There will be a CTI presentation by Fiona after this meeting, so stick around and see that, find out about that. And outside there will be silent auction information so that you can sign up for that. See Trina about that?
No.
Sponsor a dance, sorry, you're right. Sponsor a dance, I'm sorry.
The sponsor dance sheets on the sign-in table when you came in.
And most important, there are strategic event committee sign-up sheets up there. So put your name down. The next meeting will be July 29th, 2023, University of King's College, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And summer school is actually a bit later next year. The TCW weekend is 28th through the 30th, and summer school will be July 30th through August 6th. So put that on your calendars, and I hope to see you there. Can we have a motion to adjourn? Kathy Simonson, we are adjourned.
Yes, you're.
Just turn it off, thank you.
Just before everybody leaves, can we please acknowledge that Ellen is no longer in position of chair?